New FDA approval for Auvelity, this time for Alzheimer's agitation. Here's what the trial actually showed. On April 30th, 2026, the FDA approved a new indication for Auvelity, treatment of agitation associated with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. This is not the same approval as the 2022 antidepressant approval. This is specifically for Alzheimer's agitation, and it is the first medication with an NMDA targeting mechanism approved for this indication. The approval was based on a 5-week randomized controlled trial called Study 3, sometimes referred to as Advance 1. Patients with probable Alzheimer's dementia and clinically significant agitation were randomized to Auvelity or placebo, administered twice daily. The primary endpoint was change on the Cohen-Mansfield Agitation Inventory, a validated scale measuring agitation frequency and severity. In the agitation trial, Auvelity was started at 30 mg of dextromethorphan or 105 mg of bupropion, once daily in the morning. By day 8, it was increased to twice daily, and by day 15 to the maximum dose of 45 mg or 105 mg twice daily, assuming tolerability. Critically, this is not a PRN medication. It requires daily dosing and titration, just like for depression. The trial results showed that patients on Auvelity had greater improvement on the agitation scale compared to placebo. The most common adverse effects were dizziness 9% versus 3% on placebo and dyspepsia, 6% versus 1% on placebo. Notably, discontinuation rates were low and similar between the Auvelity and placebo groups, which is a meaningful safety signal in this frail population. Auvelity is not the only FDA-approved medication for Alzheimer's agitation. Brexpiprazole, trade name Results, was approved for this same indication in 2023 and works through a dopamine and serotonin receptor mechanism. Importantly, brexpiprazole carries the same black box warning as antipsychotics' increased risk of death in elderly patients with dementia-related psychosis. Auvelity does not carry that warning. This is a meaningful safety distinction in a population where antipsychotic use is already fraught with risk. Now, when does Auvelity fit clinical practice? It's appropriate when agitation is persistent, causing distress or risk, and when non-pharmacological approaches have been attempted first. Unlike as-needed dosing with some antipsychotics, Auvelity requires daily regular dosing and a slow titration over 2 weeks. The main adverse effects to watch for during titration are dizziness and upset stomach. Unlike antipsychotics, it does not carry a black box warning for increased mortality in dementia patients. But like any medication in this population, individualize the risk-benefit assessment. 3 takeaways. First, Auvelity is the first medication with an NMDA targeting mechanism approved specifically for Alzheimer's agitation. Second, it does not carry the black box warning for increased mortality in elderly dementia patients that antipsychotics and brexpiprazole carry, a clinically meaningful distinction. Third, the safety profile in the trial was favorable, with dizziness and dyspepsia being the most common complaints, and discontinuation rates similar to placebo. For clinicians managing this difficult symptom, this is a new tool with a novel mechanism and a different risk profile. Questions about today's content or topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes? Drop them in the comments below. And if you found this clinically useful, hit subscribe. More psychopharmacology breakdowns are coming. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for clinical judgment.